John Miller wiped his sweaty palms on his pants as he walked down the long hallway. The walls glowed with a soft blue light that wasn't from any source he could see. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. John was a normal man who had done a normal job for many years. He talked to people from other countries and helped solve problems. Now he had to talk to beings who weren't even from Earth. 3 years ago, aliens called the Galactic Concord had contacted Earth. They said humans could join their group of 17 space-traveling species. Earth said yes, and now John was Earth's voice in this strange new world. He stepped into the huge meeting room and tried not to stare. Some aliens looked almost human. Others were so different that John's mind struggled to understand what he was seeing. Crystal beings flashed with colored lights to talk. Floating gas clouds lived inside metal suits. Creatures with 6 legs and 3 eyes watched him with interest. John took his seat at the small desk marked with Earth's flag. It was in the back of the room, far from the important aliens at the front. Earth was new here. Earth was small. Earth didn't matter much to these ancient space travelers. The head of the Concorde, a tall purple-skinned alien named Ambassador Vex, started the meeting. He was from the Lorexi Empire, the strongest group in the Concorde. The Lorexi had the most ships, the most planets, and the most power. For 2 hours, John listened to talks about trade routes and mining rights in parts of space he had never heard of. No one asked what Earth thought. No one seemed to care. When there was a break in the meeting, John checked his messages. Captain Lisa Bennett of the Earth Defense Force had sent an urgent report. Lorexi ships were in Earth's solar system again, near Neptune. They said they were doing science, but they hadn't asked permission to be there. This was the 5th time in 2 months. John had complained before, but the Concorde leaders just told him not to worry. John walked up to Ambassador Vex, who was talking with other important aliens. "Excuse me," John said. "I need to discuss the Lorexi ships in Earth's home system." Vex's purple skin darkened, a sign of annoyance. "Ah, the Earth representative. Your concerns have been noted. The ships are conducting standard scientific surveys, as I've explained before. They need permission to enter our system," John said. "The agreement we signed." "Perhaps you misunderstand the agreement," Vex said. His voice was smooth but cold. "Scientific missions are allowed under Section 12, Paragraph 4. Not without notification," John said. The alien standing next to Vex, a 4-armed being named Kroll, made a sound like quiet laughter. "The human doesn't understand how things work here yet." Vex put a long-fingered hand on John's shoulder. "Your species is very new to space travel. There's much you don't understand. The Lorexi Empire has guided many young species like yours. Trust our experience." As John walked back to his seat, he heard Kroll say, "They're so primitive. Remember how the Targans were at first?" John looked up the Targans in the Concorde database. They had been a free species once. Now they were just a small part of the Lorexi Empire, with no voice of their own. Back in his small office after the meeting, John sent a message to Earth. Something wasn't right here. The Lorexi weren't just studying Earth. They were watching, planning. John Miller had been chosen because he was good at his job. He knew when someone was lying, and the Lorexi were hiding something big. He just needed to find out what before it was too late. Lisa Bennett stood on the bridge of her ship, the Dauntless. The stars shone bright against the black of space. She had been a captain for 5 years, but she still found space beautiful and a little scary. "Captain, we're picking up strange energy readings near Neptune," said Officer Paul Green. His fingers moved quickly over the glowing screen in front of him. Lisa walked over to his station. "What kind of readings?" "Not sure, but they're not natural. Something's out there." Lisa nodded. "Change course. Let's take a closer look." The Dauntless moved silently through space. Neptune grew larger on their main screen, a big blue ball with swirling clouds. As they got closer, they saw something else, a large ship, silver and smooth, hovering over the planet. "Lorexi design," said Paul. "It's one of their research vessels." Lisa frowned. What are they researching that Earth doesn't know about? She turned to her communications officer. "Open a channel." After a few moments, a Lorexi face appeared on the screen. Purple skin, large yellow eyes, a thin mouth. The alien looked annoyed. "This is Captain Lisa Bennett of the Earth Defense Force vessel Dauntless. You are in Earth's solar system without permission. Please explain your presence." The Lorexi smiled, but not in a friendly way. "This is Science Officer Mrek. We are conducting approved research on gas giant atmospheres." "We received no notification of your mission," Lisa said. "Check with your Concord representative. All permissions were filed correctly." Lisa didn't believe him. "What exactly are you taking from Neptune's atmosphere?" The Lorexi's smile disappeared. "That is classified Concord research." Suddenly, Paul called out, "Captain, they're targeting us with weapons." Lisa kept her voice calm. "Science Officer Mrek, aiming weapons at an EDF vessel is an act of aggression. Please power down your systems immediately." The Lorexi's yellow eyes narrowed. "A precaution only." "Your approach was unexpected." Lisa didn't back down. "This is Earth's solar system. Nothing we do here should be unexpected." After a long moment, the Lorexi nodded. "Very well. We will power down weapons, but we will continue our research." The screen went dark. "They're still extracting something from Neptune," Paul said. "And those aren't normal research tools they're using." Lisa made a quick decision. "Get me detailed scans of their ship and whatever they're collecting. Then set a course to patrol the rest of the outer system. I want to know if there are more Lorexi ships out here." Over the next 12 hours, the Dauntless found not one, but 7 more Lorexi ships hidden throughout the solar system. Some were behind moons. Others used technology to hide themselves. None had told Earth they were there. Most disturbing was what they found near Mars. A Lorexi station, hidden and watching Earth's main defense base on the Red Planet. "This isn't research," Lisa said, looking at all the data they had collected. "This is military planning." She sent all their findings to Earth in a secure message. Then she ordered the Dauntless to keep watching the Lorexi ships, staying just far enough away that they couldn't be accused of interference. That night, in her private quarters, Lisa looked at pictures of the Lorexi ships again. They reminded her of something she had seen in history books, how big countries on Earth used to map and study smaller countries before taking them over. "They're not here to learn about Neptune," she whispered to herself. "They're here to learn about us, about how to beat us." The question was, what would Earth do with this information? And would they act before it was too late? Daniel Clark hadn't slept in 30 hours. His office walls were covered with maps, pictures, and notes. Empty coffee cups sat on his desk. As Earth's top intelligence analyst, he had one job now: understand what the Lorexi were planning. He spread out the data Captain Bennett had sent from the Dauntless. The Lorexi ships weren't just studying Neptune. They were mapping Earth's defense systems, communication networks, and major cities. But why? Daniel's computer beeped. A new file had arrived from the Concord library. He had requested information about other planets that joined the Concord in the last 100 years. He opened the file and began to read. 3 worlds stood out: Tarsus, Velen, and Nox 5. All had been independent planets when they joined the Concord. All had technology similar to Earth's. And all were now part of the Lorexi Empire. "Computer, show me the history of Tarsus joining the Lorexi Empire," Daniel said. Words and pictures filled his screen. Tarsus had been a free world. Then Lorexi ships began scientific studies in their system. Next came trade deals. Then Lorexi bases for protection. Within 20 years, Tarsus was completely controlled by the Lorexi. Daniel checked the other 2 planets. The pattern was the same. The Lorexi would start with small things: research ships, trade deals, offers of help. By the time the planets realized what was happening, it was too late. He picked up his secure phone and called Admiral Susan Warren, head of Earth's Defense Force. "Admiral, I found something you need to see right away." 2 hours later, Daniel stood in a secure room deep under Washington, D.C. Admiral Warren and 5 other military leaders sat around a table, looking at the evidence he had collected. "You're saying the Lorexi are planning to take over Earth?" Admiral Warren asked. Her face was serious. Daniel nodded. "They'd done it before, 3 times that I can confirm. First, they study the planet and its defenses. Then they make offers to help with technology and protection. Then, when the planet depends on them, they take control." He showed them more pictures from Captain Bennett. "These ships aren't just doing research. They're measuring our strengths and our weaknesses." A general spoke up. "But why would they want Earth? We're not that special." "Resources," Daniel said. "Water, metals, people. Earth has a lot of things the Lorexi can use. And we're new to space. They think we're easy to fool." Admiral Warren stood up and walked to a large map of Earth on the wall. "There's more," she said. "In the past week, 5 different countries have reported being contacted directly by Lorexi representatives. They're offering advanced technology in exchange for mining rights and places to build bases. They're trying to divide us," Daniel said. "If each country makes its own deal with the Lorexi, Earth won't have a united response." The room was quiet as everyone understood what this meant. The Lorexi didn't see Earth as an equal. They saw Earth as a target. "We need to tell Ambassador Miller right away," Admiral Warren said. "He needs to know what he's really dealing with at the Concord." As Daniel packed up his evidence, he thought about what would happen next. The Lorexi were smart and patient. They had done this before. They knew how to take over a planet slowly, step by step, until it was too late to fight back. But they had made one mistake. They had underestimated humans. John Miller stood in the center of the Earth Security Council chamber. 20 leaders from Earth's most powerful nations sat in a half-circle around him. The room was silent except for the soft hum of air moving through vents. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," John said. "What I'm about to show you can't leave this room." He pressed a button, and the large screen behind him lit up with pictures, maps, and reports. He showed them everything: Captain Bennett's discoveries, Daniel Clark's research, and Admiral Warren's reports about Lorexi contacting individual countries. "The Lorexi Empire isn't our friend," John said. "They're preparing to take over Earth, step by step. They've done this before to other worlds." President Laura Green of the United States frowned. "If what you're saying is true, why hasn't the Concord stopped them?" "Because the Lorexi control the Concord," John explained. "They use its rules to make their conquests look legal. By the time anyone realizes what's happening, it's too late." "What are our options?" asked Prime Minister Raj Singh of India. Admiral Warren stood up. "We could build more ships, improve our defenses, but honestly, we're years behind our technology. We can't win a direct fight." "We could try to make deals with other aliens," suggested another leader. "Find allies." John shook his head. "The Lorexi have convinced everyone we're just primitive newcomers. No one wants to risk helping us." "So what do we do?" President Green asked. "Just wait for them to take us over." The room fell silent again. Then John walked to the center of the room. What he was about to suggest was risky, maybe even crazy, but he had thought about it for days, and he believed it might be their only chance. "We need to change how the Concord sees us," he said. "Right now, we're being ignored because we're acting exactly how the Lorexi expect. Polite, confused, easy to push around." He took a deep breath. "I propose we do something no one expects. Something so shocking it forces the entire Concord to pay attention to what the Lorexi are doing." "What exactly are you suggesting, Ambassador Miller?" asked the Chinese premier. "I'm suggesting we declare war on the Lorexi Empire." The room exploded with voices. Some leaders shouted that it was suicide. Others demanded to know if John had lost his mind. "Please," John held up his hands. "Let me explain." Slowly, the room quieted. "I'm not suggesting we actually fight them. We can't win that way. But the Concord has rules about war between members. If we formally declare war, they have to investigate why. They have to look at our evidence. It's a huge risk," Admiral Warren said. "The Lorexi could use it as an excuse to attack us openly." "Yes," John agreed. "But right now, they're taking us over slowly, and no one is paying attention. At least this way, we control what happens next." The debate lasted for 26 hours. Leaders argued, experts were called in, and different plans were suggested. In the end, they voted. 17 countries voted yes. 3 voted no. President Green stood and faced John. "Ambassador Miller, you have the Council's approval. When you return to the Concord, you will declare war on the Lorexi Empire." As John left the chamber, he felt the weight of his next task. He would soon stand before the most powerful beings in the galaxy and do something that might save Earth, or doom it. But for the first time since joining the Concord, Earth wouldn't be ignored. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Concord was filled with representatives from 17 spacefaring civilizations. Lights of different colors filled the huge room. The sounds of many languages mixed together as aliens of all shapes and sizes prepared for the day's meeting. John Miller walked into the hall wearing his best suit. His face showed nothing, but his heart beat fast in his chest. What he was about to do had never been done before in the history of the Concord. He went to the small desk with Earth's flag. Next to him sat his assistant, Kate Ryan. She looked nervous. "Are you sure about this?" she whispered. John nodded. "It's our only chance." At the front of the room, Ambassador Vex of the Lorexi Empire called the meeting to order. He began to talk about trade routes and mining rights, the usual business of the Concord. John waited for his moment. Under Concord rules, even the newest member had one special right: the right of existential address. If a species believed its existence was threatened, it could speak without being interrupted. No one had used this right in over 500 years. When there was a pause in Vex's speech, John stood up and pressed the button on his desk. A soft tone sounded through the hall. Vex looked annoyed. "The representative from Earth has pressed the emergency signal. What is your concern, Ambassador Miller?" John's voice was steady and clear. "I invoke the right of existential address under Article 7 of the Concord Charter." A shocked silence fell over the room. Many aliens turned to look at the human. Some whispered to each other. Vex's purple skin darkened with anger. "Very well," Vex said after a moment. "The floor is yours, Ambassador Miller." John walked to the center of the hall where all could see him. He looked at the faces of beings from across the galaxy, some curious, some bored, some suspicious. "Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Concord," John began, "I come before you today with a grave announcement. On behalf of the United Earth Government, I formally declare war against the Lorexi Empire." The hall exploded with noise. Some aliens jumped from their seats. Others shouted in languages John couldn't understand. The Lorexi delegation's skin turned almost black with rage. Vex hit his desk with a small hammer, calling for order. "This is outrageous. War declarations between Concord members are forbidden without prior mediation." When the noise finally died down, John spoke again. "The Lorexi Empire has violated Earth's sovereignty repeatedly. They have placed military ships in our system without permission. They have mapped our defenses. They have attempted to divide our planet by making secret deals with individual nations." John touched a button on his wrist device, and images appeared on the large screens around the hall. The Lorexi ships in Earth's solar system. The hidden stations watching Earth's bases. Maps showing the pattern of Lorexi conquest. "The evidence is clear," John continued. "The Lorexi are preparing for a gradual takeover of Earth, just as they did with Tarsus, Velen, and Nox 5. The representatives of those worlds, now just small parts of the Lorexi delegation, looked down at their desks, unable to deny the truth. Humanity, John said, his voice growing stronger, would rather face extinction fighting for our freedom than accept slow conquest through your silence. As John finished speaking, the hall was completely quiet. Then, one by one, representatives began to talk again, their voices rising in a wave of confusion, anger, and, from some corners, secret hope. Earth would not be ignored any longer. The emergency meeting of the Concord Security Council started 3 hours after John Miller's war declaration. The Security Council had 7 members, including the Lorexi. They sat around a round table in a private room far from the main hall. Vex, the Lorexi ambassador, stood and pointed at John. This human has violated the most sacred rules of the Concord. Earth must be punished, and Miller must be removed from his position immediately. The chairperson, a tall blue-skinned alien named Zora, raised her hand for quiet. Ambassador Miller, you have made a very serious claim. Do you have proof beyond what you showed in the hall? John nodded. I do. He turned to Kate Ryan, who stood beside him. My deputy has prepared a complete data package for the council. Kate stepped forward with a small silver cube. She placed it on the center of the table. The cube glowed and projected images into the air above it. What you are seeing, Kate explained, are messages between Lorexi military commanders. They discuss the Earth acquisition timeline and plans for dealing with human resistance. Vex's face darkened again. This is fake. Humans made this up. The data is real, John said calmly, and we can prove it. What the Lorexi didn't know was that humans had been spying on them from the beginning. Earth might be new to space travel, but humans had centuries of experience with spying and intelligence work. While the Lorexi thought humans were simple and primitive, Earth's best computer experts had secretly broken into Lorexi communication systems. How did you get this information? Asked a small green alien with 4 eyes. Kate smiled. That's classified, but we can verify every message is authentic. For the next hour, the council examined the evidence. The messages showed that the Lorexi weren't just planning to take over Earth. They were doing the same thing to 6 other Concord members, all newer or smaller species. Finally, Zora spoke. This is very troubling. If these messages are real, the Lorexi have broken their sacred duty as founding members of the Concord. They are not real. Vex shouted, standing up so quickly his chair fell over. This is a human trick. Just then, the door opened. A thin, gray alien with large eyes walked in. It was Neri from the Technology Verification Department. In his hand was a small device. Chairperson Zora, Neri said in a soft voice, we have completed our analysis of the human evidence. The room fell silent. Everyone knew the technology department could tell if data was real or fake. And, Zora asked, the human evidence is authentic, Neri said. The messages came from Lorexi military command channels. They have not been changed or edited in any way. Vex's purple face turned almost white. There must be some mistake. There is no mistake, Neri said. And there is more. We found similar plans for gradual conquest of the Villari, the Trin, and 4 other Concord members. The council members looked at each other in shock. Then they looked at Vex, who had no more words. Zora stood up. The Security Council will take a short break. When we return, we will decide what actions to take against the Lorexi Empire. As they left the room, John felt relief wash over him. Earth's desperate gamble had worked. The truth was out now, and the Concord would have to act. But the fight wasn't over yet. The Lorexi were powerful and dangerous, and they now had nothing to lose. 3 months had passed since the day John Miller declared war on the Lorexi Empire. He stood by the large window in his office, looking at the strange purple and orange sunset of the Concord homeworld. So much had changed in such a short time. John never wanted a real war. His declaration had been a clever move to force the Concord to see the truth about the Lorexi, and it had worked better than anyone expected. 2 days after the Security Council meeting, the full Concord voted to hold a special trial. The evidence against the Lorexi was too strong to ignore. After weeks of testimony and investigation, the verdict was clear. The Lorexi Empire had broken the most basic rules of the Concord. Their punishment was severe. The Lorexi lost half their voting power in the Concord. They had to pay large amounts of money to the worlds they had tried to conquer. And they had to remove all their ships and bases from Earth's solar system. But the biggest change was to the Concord itself. For too long, powerful species like the Lorexi had controlled everything. Now, new rules were made to protect smaller and newer worlds. A knock at the door interrupted John's thoughts. His assistant Kate came in. "Ambassador, the Earth Security Council is ready for your report," she said. John nodded and walked to his desk. He pressed a button, and a large screen lit up showing the leaders of Earth's nations. "Good day," John said. "I'm pleased to report that the last Lorexi ship left our system this morning. Earth's space is now completely our own again." President Green smiled. "Excellent work, Ambassador. What about the new trade agreements?" "Even better than we hoped," John said. 7 Concord species have offered to trade technology with Earth as equal partners. No hidden plans, no tricks. "And the Lorexi?" asked Prime Minister Singh. "They're following the rules for now," John said. "They lost too much power and respect to cause trouble, but we'll keep watching them carefully." After the meeting ended, John went back to the window. A familiar voice spoke behind him. "Thinking deep thoughts, Ambassador Miller." John turned to see Zora, the blue-skinned alien who had led the Security Council. She was one of the oldest and wisest beings in the Concord. "Just reflecting on how quickly things can change," John said. Zora made a sound like soft bells, her species' version of laughter. "In 10,000 years of diplomatic service, I have never seen anything like what you did. You humans think in ways the rest of us have forgotten." "What do you mean?" John asked. "Most species either fight with weapons or talk with words," Zora explained. "You used words as weapons. You saw that the only way to avoid a real war was to declare a false one." John smiled. "Sometimes you have to be willing to risk everything to save what matters." As Zora left, John thought about Earth's future in the Concord. Humans had gone from being ignored newcomers to respected members almost overnight. Other species now looked to Earth for fresh ideas and new approaches. The Lorexi had thought humans were primitive and easy to conquer. They had been very wrong. What looked like weakness, Earth's newness to space, had turned out to be strength. Humans brought different thinking to the Concord, thinking that had exposed the Lorexi's secret plans. Earth was safe now, and the galaxy would never be the same.